What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another edition of Round One Sports TV. We're going to be talking about who is the number one best pound for pound fighter in the world. Is it Terence Bud Crawford or is it the Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue? If you like the video, watch it in entirety. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And like always, let's get right into this video. So, the highly anticipated debate between who's the number one pound for pound best fighter in the world. Is it Naoya Inoue or Terence Crawford? Now, there's a lot of back and forth going on. So what I did was I looked up all facts, their records, and what they did into current present date. Okay, so to kick this off, right, and we want to do it as fair as possible here at Round One Sports Talk. So we're gonna go Terence Crawford's heads, and the Japanese superstar is tails. Okay, I'm gonna flip the quarter to see who goes first. It is tails. So the Japanese superstar goes first. Okay, the Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue comes to us from Japan. He comes to us with a record of 26 fights and 23 ways by knockout. He is 30 years of age. He is 5'5". He is listed as an orthodox fighter. He has a 67-inch arm reach. He started his career 2012, October 2nd. Okay. Now, in his last five fights, we're going to judge both fighters by their last five fights and what they have accomplished and what they did. Okay. In his last fights and how long it took him to complete five fights. Okay. He fought just recently, December 26, 2023, against Marlon Tapales, which was just recent. His next fight was July July 25th, 2023, same year. His next fight previous to that is it was December 13th, 2022. His next fight prior to that was June 7th, 2022. His next prior fight to that was December 14th, 2021. So it took him to complete five fights. It took him 2 years and 1 month to complete five fights. Okay. And in those five fights, he knocked out all five fighters. And if you want to get technical, he KO'd two of them and TKO'd three of them. Okay. So it took him 2 years, 1 month to fight five fights. He TKO'd three and KO'd two of them. Okay. Marlon Tapales coming into the matchup against the Japanese superstar, his last fight was 156 days prior to going into the fight with the Japanese superstar. So he was an active fighter. He just won those belts off MJ. Okay. So his fighter that he fought against was a current active fighter. Okay. Um, the Japanese superstar prior to the fight with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. has fought in twice. And the two fights that he has had was against the number one 122 pounder in the world, Stephen Kubo Fulton. Then he went on to face Marlon Tapales to unify all four belts and go down as the second man in history to do it in two separate weight divisions. He just recently accomplished that. Okay. In his last 5 fights, he fought 4 world champions and 1 Hall of Famer. Out of the last 5 men he fought, 4 world champions and 1 Hall of Famer. Okay. Now, let's look at Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford is 36 years of age. He's a southpaw. He's 5'8". He has a 74-inch arm reach. Okay. His record is 40 fights, no losses, 31 knockouts. Okay. He started his career 2008, March. March 14th, 2008. He started his career. Okay. He's been in the game 15 years. Okay. His last 5 opponents, okay, his last fight, he fought Errol the Truth Spencer, right? He fought him July 29th, 2023. His next fight previous to that was December 10th, 2022. His next fight previous to that was November 20th, 2021. His next fight previous to that was November 14th, 2020. His next fight previous to that was December 14th, 2019. His last 5 fights, it took him 5 years to fight 5 fights. He fought once a year for 5 years. And in his last 5 opponents, he knocked out all 5 fighters. Well, technically, he TKO'd all 5 fighters. Okay. Um, Coming into the fight with Errol Spence Jr., let's keep this in mind. A lot of people seem to forget this. That Errol Spence Jr., his Errol Spence Jr. is 33 years of age. He's 5'9". He has a 72-inch arm reach. Okay, he has a 78% knockout ratio. Okay, he started his career 2012. Okay, now Errol Spence Jr., his last 5 fights, the same thing. 2023 coming into the fight with Terence Crawford, 2022, 2020, 2019, and twice in 2019. Okay. Prior coming into the fight against Terence Crawford, he was listed inactive. He was an inactive fighter coming into the Terence Crawford on the rankings. If you don't remember this, what Terence Crawford was fighting was Errol Spence Jr.'s name, of the fighter that he once was prior coming into that fight. Prior coming into that fight, he fought Ugas, which was a year later. Before that, he didn't fight for 2 years, right? And coming into the Terence Crawford fight, he was listed as an inactive fighter. He was not on the pound for pound rankings at the time going into the fight. After the fight, he went back on the pound for pound rankings and he was listed as an active fighter and they gave him a ranking again. Okay? So Terence Crawford's argument that he beat a top 5 pound for pound fighter in the world, no, you beat who he once was. You didn't beat who he was going into the fight. That's not who he was. And he was a shell of himself. The event was a one-sided event. Okay? So he was fighting an inactive fighter, and Naoya Inoue's last fighter is coming off his last fight 156 days prior coming into his matchup. And not only did he beat One fighter, he fought twice in between that time. So he has two fights going against the Aerospins Jr., which is inactive fighter, right? A layoff, okay? And then prior to that, Terence Crawford, it took him 5 years to complete 5 fights. The Japanese superstar completed 5 fights in 2 years and 1 month. These are the facts. These are, it's all right here. Everything I said, you can go back and check out. Terence Crawford's last 5 fighters, he fought 3 world champions. Out of the last 5 fighters, he fought 3 world champions. The Japanese superstar fought 4 world champions and 1 Hall of Famer. Yes, it's all there. So if we're comparing their records and we're keeping out all the outside noise, we're only keeping it as pure as what they did in their last 5 fights and what they just accomplished, meaning that the Japanese superstar is also putting up that he just completed becoming the second man to unify all 4 belts. And you're saying what? That everything he did does not merit him number one pound for pound fighter in the world? If the shoe was on the other foot and the Japanese superstar was coming in with Terence Crawford's record, Terence Crawford had the Japanese guy's record, would you say that the Japanese guy is better than Terence Crawford? If the Japanese guy was being placed number one with Terence Crawford's record, would you say that was bullshit for what Terence Crawford? Do you see what I'm saying? The Japanese superstar is just clearly doing it at a better pace. And if we're looking at their activity, Terence Crawford's activity level is too low. For God's sake, the Japanese superstar has already fought twice since he fought Errol Spence Jr. And you still want to give him credit for beating on a man that came into a fight basically handicapped. 2 car accidents, an attached retina, and a layoff. Previous to that fight, the Ugas fight, 2 year layoff. So in 3 years, he fought 1 time coming into the Terence Crawford fight. And you want me to give you all the praises and the credit for beating that guy. What Terence Crawford beat was his name and who he once was, once upon a time. And I get it. Errol Spence Jr. was the truth. Had it not been for multiple car accidents, detached retina, and all the things that has happened to the man, I would have gave him more credit. You see? But the Japanese superstar is just proving that he is on a trajectory of greatness, legendary status. You be the judge. You tell me. Here are the facts. They're all laid out right here. If you like the video, please give the video a like. Share this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And like always, here at Round One Sports Talk, we bring facts. I'm on to the next one. Peace.